I'm talking to Rabbi Sol Solomon on Days Gone By on UNC Radio.
Oh, shalom, shalom, my friends, shalom, my enemies, shalom, everyone in between, and everyone who loves music, because we are delighted to have in the neighborhood a singer and a songwriter, a sultry, wonderful composer and performer. Her name is Ann Hampton Callaway, and don't get her confused with her sister, Liz Callaway, who is also a singer and an actress, although you might, because they're both appearing together tonight in New Jersey. I feel sorry about that for them, but it's at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center in Newark. You can see them doing their songs, the stuff that they were doing in Sibling Revelry, plus other, I assume, newer tunes, and we are delighted and thrilled to have the composer of the Nanny song here in the neighborhood. Shalom, Ann!
Oh, shalom, Rabbi. Shalom again, naturally.
Oh, Gewalt. Okay. Is that going to be the caliber of the humor in your show?
No, it's going to get worse.
Oh, good. So
nice to talk to you. By the way, I just feel this is such an appropriate matching of energies because you're a rabbi and I'm a diva, and it really seems to evoke a certain kind of higher divinity, than most average conversations. So I'm delighted and honored to be speaking to you.
Much as I sometimes enjoy being a rabbi, I would rather be a diva. What am I missing? What qualities? How do I become a diva?
Well, I'm sure you have your forms of blessing, but I sing my blessings in a very, unusual way, and you sing your blessings as well. So, I think we do probably have a lot in common, but I'm all about showbiz, and I probably wear more bling than you do.
This could be. This could, unless I'm stealing stuff off of Torah, but usually no. I can't even afford any bling.
Really? Oy vey.
I can barely afford shoes, let me tell you. Let me ask you something, though. You
yes, Rabbi.
Are not a Jewess, alas.
No, but I am an aspiring Jew, so, I hope that gives me some kind of,
Now, are you taking maybe lessons? Do you go the red string Kabbalah thing? Are you singing rap? Or you just spiritually wish you were a Jew?
Well, I feel like so many of my friends are Jewish, and I think the cultural identity of Judaism is kind of what I am most drawn to. I'm not as religiously Jewish. I know most of my friends are Jewish, but the cultural sensibility is very in keeping with my sensibility. And so when I was a kid, I grew up in Riverdale. Liz and I were in Riverdale for a while. We were the only Christians there, so people would walk by and sing Gentiles on my mind. But it's it's a marvelous culture, and
plus, you, being you, grew up learning the songs of George and Ira Gershwin, of Frank Lesser, of...
So many of the best Broadway and classic songs are written by Jewish people, so,
Can I ask, what is your very favorite song of all time?
My very favorite song of all time?
Yes.
That's impossible to answer definitively, but most of my favorite songs are, incredibly gorgeous love songs like How Deep is the Ocean or I'll Be Seeing You or some of the deeply loving ballads. I'm into ballad bondage. I don't know about you.
Ballad bondage? Hey, Gewalt, that's I don't know what you do with a treble clef in that situation, but...
Well, I just appeal to your base instincts.
Oh, everything does. Jews are basically filthy underneath. We aspire to a higher good, but essentially we're freaks and addicts, but lovable ones.
Lovable.
Yeah, definitely lovable. But in terms of those songs, are all your favorite songs ones that you sing, or do you have one or two that aren't appropriate for you to sing, but you love them anyway?
I'm kind of fearless about it. If I love a song, I'll sing it. But there are songs that I will hear, and I'll think, why have I never sung this song before? And those are nice little surprises, because as your life changes, if you go through new experiences, suddenly songs mean more to you. And that's one of the reasons I love singing with my sister, Liz, because her taste in music is much more theater-oriented, and I tend to be a little bit more on the jazz side. But we really meet in the middle of the Great American Songbook, and so many of the great Broadway classics are standards. And so doing this show that we're going to be doing, West Side Story to Wicked, Broadway with the Callaways, is a wonderful meeting of the minds.
Now, speaking of Broadway, I should have given a bit more of an introduction to say that your sister, Liz, she was a Tony nominee for the delightful musical Baby. As a matter of fact, the co-star in that show has been in the neighborhood. I'm blanking on his name, but he's a marvelous.
Oh no, Todd Graff.
No, not Todd Graff. The older, the one who sings
Vindovic.
Baby. Huh?
Marty Vindovic?
Marty Vindovic, yes. Give him a
Wonderful,
shout
wonderful singer-actor.
Lovely guy. And she was also a Drama Desk nominee for the Spitfire Grill. She was in Miss Saigon. She was in Cats. You were on Broadway in a show called Swing, and that got you a Tony nomination.
Thank you, thank you.
You also have 2 Bistro Awards. Those used to be from Backstage, but they're Cabaret Awards. And, and you also have a CD out devoted to the music of Sarah Vaughan, called From Sassy to Divine, which hopefully will be my life progression now that I think about it.
Well, I think you marry the 2 qualities well, just knowing you in this brief conversation.
Now, your early show with your sister, when you started doing the duet thing, was called Sibling Revelry.
That's right.
Were you rivals as sisters? Did you really get along all the time? In real life,
I will say this. Liz and I had evolved into really close friends, and we've evolved into probably more supportive sisters than most people in show business. But when we were kids, there's a 3-year age difference in us. There was definitely, because we were so different and we didn't really understood what brought us together, that there was a little bit of tension between us and aggravation between us, just like all siblings.
Well, did she not want to wear your clothes?
Rivalry.
Well, did she get your hand-me-downs and she didn't like that? Or did you not want to deal with her because when you're 12, you're going to want to deal with a 9-year-old? That sort of thing.
I loved my sister, but I didn't understand her. She would walk around the house saying, "I'm bored." And I just thought, well, how could anyone be bored? There's so many amazing, exciting books to read and things to see and things to do. And she just... She grew into who she is later in life, and she grew out of being shy and not wanting to sing in front of anyone to suddenly being a star on Broadway. So she's really evolved into a fantastic human being who I'm very close to. But when we were growing up, she was, it was just, we didn't connect as much. And
but were you able,
we do now.
When you both started getting into music more seriously, were you at that point already able to completely support each other, or was there like, I've got to do better than she does?
No, I think the real, we always loved each other. There's no question about that. But the real bonding moment was when our parents got divorced, and I went off to college, and we kind of had some heart-to-heart talks, and, we realized, hey, we have to live our lives and find happiness in our lives and move on. And that was a great start, and then we decided, within months of each other, to move to New York. And moving to New York, if that doesn't bond you, is, the biggest thing that you could. 2 girls, we didn't know anybody. We had very little money. We were taking such huge chances without any connections. Both college dropouts, living our dream, just wanting to come and do what we love to do. And we were so lucky to have a pretty good early start at getting to sing and act and be in shows and do what we love.
Well, what was your first, I won't even say big break, but like a medium break?
Well, the night that my sister moved to New York, she moved 3 days later than I did. We walked outside of our kind of pathetic hotel, and there was music that we heard out of this little nightclub. So we walked in, we had a cocktail, and I got a singing job that night because the pianist didn't know one of the songs, and I sat down at the piano and played it. I got a standing ovation, and I got my first singing job immediately. And that sort of, how many people get to do that? It took me a while to get out of the piano bar days and into, some more concertizing and being actually listened to. But I did meet some wonderful people who believed in me and got rave reviews within a year of being in New York. And my sister got into her first Broadway show, within a year of moving to New York. So we were both lucky in different ways to dive right in and start our careers.
Did you have horrible day jobs or decent day jobs?
No,
we never did that.
I never had a day job.
Wow.
My day job was a night job singing. I never had to do anything. When I was getting ready to move to New York, I was a waitress, and I also had a wedding band called Annie, and I sang songs as diverse as Feelings and My Way and Lush Life. So you kind of get the...
Well, that's all right. Those are good songs.
Good, yeah. So
they're not boogie, oogie, oogie, but they're up there.
I know. I did my fair share of boogie, oogie, oogie. How did you know?
Oh, I guessed. If you're in a wedding band of that era.
Yes.
And now you do weddings for Barbra Streisand, for crying out loud. My God. Tell the story.
You dropped the name. Let me pick that up.
Yeah, go ahead. No, I mean, go ahead. You tell the story of the song, and you rewrote it 100 times, and etc. and so forth.
Oh, the wedding song?
Yeah, please.
Oh, yes. Well, I had already had a hit with her on her album, Higher Ground. She recorded my song at the same time, which is a peace anthem, and I think she was very drawn to my lyric writing. So when she heard this beautiful ballad, instrumental by Ralph Loveland, she thought of me for some reason. So for 5 weeks I toiled and tried to write the perfect love song for her. And finally I did what all partly Irish girls do when we're in trouble, and I succumbed to alcohol.
Oh.
And I went to this place in Dobbs Ferry, New York, sat outside, had a few cocktails, and I realized she was getting married that year. I should write a wedding song. So 2 white wine spritzers later, I had a wedding song. Drove home carefully, sent it to her producer. He loved it. He sent it to Barbara. She said, "Oh, I'm having a party on Wednesday. Have them make a recording." Well, what I didn't know is that party was her wedding. And so she sang. Fortunately, we were able to get her TV tracks the last minute. She sang my brand new lyrics to James Brolin and all of Hollywood, and everyone was crying, and it was just this amazing moment. And when she got back from her honeymoon, I said, "Barbara, how could you sing a brand new song on the biggest day of your life?" And she paused and she said, "Well, you know, Anne, you really expressed exactly how I feel about James, and thank God you sang the song in my key."
Wow. Well, I didn't realize that you could imitate her so well.
Well, I mean, any singer, that's our job, is to be able to use our voices to convey things and, you know, create sounds. So I love imitating Barbara. She's just, you know, she's Barbara. Who else is her?
Well, if I smashed my nasal passages with a hammer, I could probably approximate. Do you do any other impersonations?
I love to sing some of my favorite jazz singers, like Billie Holiday.
Oh.
Good morning, Harry. You old girl, me shy. Sarah Vaughan. A little more of a parody, but you know, that's the idea.
Can you do Snoop Dogg? By any chance,
not yet. No, I have to do a little more work on polishing Snoop Dogg.
Now there was also something that I read where you were talking. It may have been a different song with Barbra Streisand, but she gave you advice about lyric writing that was profound to you.
Actually, when I was rewriting the first song she recorded, and she wanted me to do rewrites. Now, meanwhile, the song had been sent to Reagan and Gorbachev, and I got all these beautiful letters from all these world leaders.
Whoa.
Liza Minnelli had sung it. Patti LuPone had sung it. It had been, you know, it had a nice round of live performances, but I had saved it for Barbara. She wanted me to rewrite the song, and I tried all these rewrites. I mean, I don't know how many drafts, and finally I said to her producer, I said, I really don't understand what she's looking for. I need to speak to her. And, you know, it's like, oh, really? So finally I'm talking to my dad on the phone in Chicago, and I get this beep, and Ann, I've got Barbra Streisand on the line. I thought I was going to have a heart attack. And I finally, when we got talking, I said, Barbara, and I was trying to be so calm, but meanwhile my heart was beating a million miles a minute. I said, Barbara, what are you really looking for? And she said, well, you know, Ann, I want the song to be simple but profound. I want the first time you hear the song, I want you to understand it immediately, but then upon each listening, other meanings, other inspirations come through. And that was, you know, that wasn't real specific advice, but it was very important advice, and I've been using that approach the rest of my songwriting life, because I think it is a great way to communicate.
Now, for some songwriters, they polish off a song sometimes in a half hour.
Yeah,
and that's better than one that they have to spend 5 years rewriting and doing again. Is that true?
Yeah.
Or is it could be a great song in half an hour, or it could be a great song in 5 years?
It doesn't really matter. Like, actually, at the same time when I wrote it, it took me 20 minutes. So, and it was very well received before Barbara recorded it. So I would love to take a look at all the drafts. But for instance, I was recently with my friend Amanda McBroom, who was my liaison to meeting Barbra Streisand, A&R guy Jay Landers. And she handed me a lyric. And finally, after breakfast, I went to her studio, and we sat around. I said, all right, I'm going to put the tape recorder on, and I'm just going to look at these words, and I'm just going to sing what feels like the right melody. So I sat there at her piano. And the entire song, I played exactly what the song felt, and she said, that's it, that's the song. And I performed that at 54 Below in my last show, Feminine Persuasion, and people seem to really love it. So sometimes instincts are just right on, and it's almost as if the notes are waiting inside the words.
Well, there's a thing that you do, I don't know if you still do it, but where you improvise songs.
Right, yeah.
You still do that? That's wow.
I do that in almost all of my shows. I mean, I don't tend to do that in shows with my sister, but I do that in, whether I'm doing a trio show or if I'm on the stage with a symphony orchestra. By the end of the song, I have the entire orchestra at least playing the last note. But it is one of my favorite things to do. You know, I think being a jazz singer, the art of improv is really at the heart of who I am. Just being in the moment, saying what needs to be said. I try to rhyme as much as possible, and I always say the less thinking I do, the better. It's just diving right in and finding out what's on your mind.
Well, I never think at all, and it served me very, very well. We are in the moment here with the delightful Ann Hampton Callaway. Please go see her in Broadway with the Callaways. I lost my place there for a moment. That is tonight, Saturday night. I know Shabbos is over. You can go.
Saturday. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And it's at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center in beautiful downtown Newark, New Jersey. Nothing I can say about that. So, she's with her sister, Liz Callaway. It sounds like it's going to be absolutely wonderful and delightful. And let me ask you, gotta ask you about the other thing that people would immediately know you for. You wrote and sing with your sister on the theme song for the TV show, the Jewish TV show, The Nanny. Now, let me ask you, did you have 5 different songs and they picked one, or...
I wrote 2 songs. You know, I'd written other songs for Fran Drescher. She met me at a wonderful cabaret in New York City, Don't Tell Mama, and she said, years before The Nanny was created, and she said, "You're very talented. I want us to work together." And so I wrote all these theme songs for pilots that never went anywhere. So when she said to me, she called me up and said, "Ann, you know, I have a new project, and this time I'm asking all the top Hollywood writers to contribute theme songs." So I wrote 2 theme songs, but the difference of what I did was I insisted on interviewing her, and I wrote down very careful notes. And at one point in our conversation, I said, "Well, in a nutshell, Fran, who is the nanny?" And she paused, and she said, "She's a lady in red when everyone else is wearing tan." And I thought, that's it. That's who she is, so we got to put that in the song. I think that's why they chose my song, and I had no idea that it would become what my accountant calls my finest work to date.
Well, it's bouncy, it's catchy, it's perfect for the show. I mean, they chose
fun,
right.
And I love Fran. We were actually talking about writing the Broadway musical version of the show.
Oh.
So we're in discussion about that, and it's a very exciting upcoming project. So hopefully we'll get something off the ground very soon.
Actually, instead of just taking some movie that they do now and they just plug in song, I mean, that's a perfect idea. Wow, I wish I'd thought of it.
Great characters. It'll be a lot of fun.
Speaking now, I do want to say, you mentioned the idea of pilots that get picked up and don't picked up. This kills me. You made a pilot for public television. That I think is a wonderful idea. Was the idea of having singers explain and talk about great songs and what made them great. You had Liza Minnelli, and I think her pianist Billy Stritch on the initial show. PBS never picked it up. Why not?
You know, it was bad timing. The show was called Singer Spotlight, and I did another show with Christine Ebersol, one of leading Broadway divas. It was happening right at the transition from regular film to HD film. So when it came to the time of raising enough money to get this show off the ground, everything was incredibly expensive because of the new format of film. So now what's happened is we've decided to take this overall concept and turn it into a radio show, and it's going to be called This is Cabaret, not cabaret as in, you know, songs that are done in small rooms, but cabaret in the sense of the highest level of intimacy in performing. People from all kinds of music will be on my show. I've recorded 3 episodes for the show, and Marilyn May and Kurt Elling are my next guests that we're recording on February 7th. We're going to premiere it on June 27th, if everything goes well, and syndicated on NPR stations around the country. So I'm very excited to keep up this mission to bring great music and the stories of the great music and songs and the great singers so that people really understand the depth of a great singing experience.
Can I ask who, you mentioned some people that you can imitate and impersonate. Who are other people that really, really influenced your vocal style?
Well, I always say Ella Fitzgerald and Sarah Vaughan are my two big jazz influences, and my pop influences in terms of, dramatic singers were Barbra Streisand and Judy Garland. In fact, I tell people I practice Judaism, the love of all great women named Judy. She's at the top of the list. But also, I was very inspired by Joni Mitchell and Carole King as a songwriter.
Oh.
Their albums hit me at a very important time of my creative life as a kid. And it was those two women that really inspired me to take songwriting seriously and imagine a life of singing and songwriting. So I was also very inspired by people like Leontine Price and some of the great opera singers. And I find many people, authors, painters, leaders, Nelson Mandela, Gandhi. There's so many different kinds of people that inspire me and that have fueled me as an artist and as a person. So I actually collect pictures of those people, and I have a book that I started as a kid, sort of a book of heroes. And I think it's important to have good mentorship and to seek it out.
Well, you try and be in some ways a mentor yourself because you do things for charity and you write songs for benefits.
Right, yes, that's very important to me. I think that's one of the ways, you can read the newspaper and be angry, or you can read the newspaper and do something about it. And so as a citizen, I try to contribute to things I believe in. And one of the best ways I can contribute is by singing benefits and writing songs that the proceeds go to help the people in need. And so I feel like I at least can use being an artist and a citizen as a way of healing and my own anxiety about the world we live in and uplifting other people, because the power of music to bring people together is like nothing else.
Well, you in another interview, you mentioned that you're a love kind of person. You're a lover person. Me being Jewish, I hate everything, so I'm trying to understand how you...
That's so funny, yeah, I know. I'm like you in the sense that I worry a lot. I think because I care. I asked Jay Landers, who's Barbra Streisand's sands, I have to say sand, like sand on the beach. I said, Jay, are you happy? He said, happy? Why? I'm Jewish. And what is that? Tell me, Rabbi Sol, what is that about? Why are Jewish people not happy?
Fear. Any moment, everything can come crashing down before your eyes.
Yeah, well, it is true, though.
It can be Germany 1928, or it can be Germany 1938. You live a decade, look what happens. So,
right, yeah.
Could happen anywhere, anytime. I could be walking along, suddenly, I get a paper cut. Could happen. Right. Terrible, tragic things.
Well, the thing that I try to focus on, because I'm prone to worrying also, is that you can be just as surprised by really amazing things, like tremendous beauty, tremendous kindness, things that are just extraordinary moments, falling in love, having a baby, all the things that, writing the best song you've ever written in your life. Those are just as important of surprises as the horrible ones. And so worried that they stop seeing the good stuff. So.
Well, then all I do is I will quote a Mel Brooks lyric, which is, from the 12 Chairs. Hope for the best, expect the worst. Best lyric, and that is the essence of Judaism. It's really...
that sounds about right, yeah.
Now, we have just a couple of minutes left here with the delightful Ann Hampton Callaway. I do want to get a little bit personal here, because you mentioned Barbra Streisand. Yes.
Ooh, what are you wearing?
Well, a stroimel and payas and a beard, and you're going to know. And
I love men in beards.
Really? No, you are. I was going to say, with Streisand and Garland, you should be a gay man, but you're actually a bisexual woman, which I find
see, doesn't that make life interesting?
Oh, it sure does for me.
Yeah, I love everyone.
When did you realize you were, both sides of the coin, as it were?
Both sides now? When I was a kid, if you look at my journals, I wrote a lot of I don't know why I'm a bisexual, but I think it was that I fell in love with women, but I was very attracted to men. So it was extremely confusing to me. I don't know that I've ever been madly in love with a man, but I certainly have had wonderful with men.
Oh, do tell. That's getting better all the time.
Yes, no, but no, I am now married. I have a wonderful wife, and she is just the inspiration of my life. I'm so lucky.
Did you officially get married when it became legal?
Yes, we did officially get married, and then we had the most extraordinary wedding celebration with all the most amazing, talented singers singing these songs last June, and it was just unbelievable. Marilyn May was our officiant, and we had an array of Broadway jazz divas and divos that blew our minds. It was incredible.
Well, but I guess it's fair to sort of ask, being a heterosexual Jew.
When did you first realize you were straight?
Oh my God! When did I? I think when my third grade teacher leaned over and there was an open button. I was like, oh, I'm straight. Oh boy. It was 25 years.
It's all research. When you're a kid and you're growing up to be a diva, you have to research and do everything to understand and learn about love. And so I've really devoted my life to researching love so that I could sing love songs well. But
the thing about being a hetero, as it were, is that if you get married, I'm with my dear wife Miriam Libby for all these years, and we have 21 and a half beautiful children. But 15 are beautiful. The rest. But when you're a man, you forsake all other, or you make believe you forsake all other women, and you don't look and you don't think about them. With you have to forsake 99.99% of the whole rest of the population because you used to like men too. Is that more difficult? The same?
I think because I'm so happy that no, it isn't more difficult. No, if I weren't happy, it would be incredibly difficult. But no, I'm exactly where I need to be. So
how did you meet
being a Gemini, I create a lot of variety, just my personality. They say when you marry a Gemini, you marry a harem. So I think that's really been a big contributing factor to the success of our relationship.
How did you meet
Always variety.
So can I ask how you met do you call her your wife?
Yes, yeah.
Well, how did you meet her?
We met in Tucson, Arizona, where she was living at the time, and it was a theater was presenting me, and she was on the board of the theater, and we met at a party, and it was love at first sight.
Oh.
I had a dream about someone who looked like me 2 nights before, and when our eyes locked, she thought, oh my goodness, that's the person I dreamed about.
Whoa. Oh, that is really, wow. And you don't, would you, it might be a little too personal, but do you want to have a family, a kid? Would you go there or
we're very devoted aunts, and we have a lot of children in our lives that we try to be good mentors to. But no, I think it's a little late in the game to having a family at this point. If we'd met each other at a younger time, we definitely would have had kids. Absolutely.
Hey, wasn't meant, and now you get to deal with other people's horrible children. You spend 2 hours and then they go away.
Nephew. I think that's one of my favorite things. I like to try to be an Andy Mame.
Oh, now, last question. I know you have to go, and I wish you didn't. But there was an article in the New York Times about the music business just a couple of days ago about.
Oh yes, that yeah.
The what I had assumed for the past
music business.
What exactly? No, seriously. It's like it's saying that the recent paradigm has supposedly been that you don't make money on recordings, on CDs, or even download. You make money by touring, by going out on the road. And the Times article was saying, not so true. How have you found that? As a recording,
I am just aghast at where we're at. I was in the early days when we were trying, Marilyn Bergman was in charge of ASCAP, and we were going to Washington, D.C., and we were trying to maintain the value of intellectual property, that everything wouldn't be free, and, that if you actually created something, it would be of value. I do feel that the primary part of my income is from performing. I happen to love performing. It's, one of my favorite things to do in the world, but I do miss the royalties that I used to make and the recordings that were easy to make, and it's a very, very changing world. I have a feeling that we're going to come up with some new ideas and some new things, but what the article was also saying is, let's say that your income is mostly based on touring. If something happens to you, if you can't sing anymore, if you're in an accident, then you have nothing you can do. There's nothing to back it up with. And it's a very
yeah, I mean, I think the only other option there is people like you who write for TV shows, or you get a theme song in a movie.
Right.
That's probably a good residual.
It can be, yeah. I mean, it has been. It used to be much more. It's not the same world anymore. The value of these songs has very much changed. But I don't lose hope. I really believe in the power of new ideas, and I hope that great, brilliant businessmen get together with great, brilliant musicians and come up with some new paradigms.
Well, speaking of great and brilliant performers, are there any nightclub people coming through the ranks that you've seen that we might not know their names yet, but we should be on the lookout for such and such and so and so?
You know, I think there are some amazing artists, but I don't really know who knows who. There's
a
lot of people.
Yeah.
Who in jazz know Kurt Elling, but do people in theater know who Kurt Elling is? A lot of people who know the Great American Songbook, they might not know the music of Sarah Bareilles, who's a pop singer.
Well, they will. She's got the Waitress opening.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like when worlds collide. Does everyone know who Ava Cassidy is? I mean, she's not with us anymore, but there's a lot of people who are sort of, I think my sister and I are very well known by people who like what the music we do, but a lot of the world has no idea who we are, and there's a lot of really talented people who are not that known. It's just, I almost call this the unfamous generation, and the more and more people are making their own records and doing their own thing, and it sort of thins out the possibility of the old star machinery that, here's going to be, like, when I was a kid, I thought, oh, Barbra Streisand, if you're really talented and you work really hard, maybe you can have a career like her. Well, it's highly unlikely. There's a few exceptions to the rule these days.
Yeah, there's one. There's Adele, and that's basically.
And I love Adele. I think she's the real deal. I really enjoy her music and her guts. I think she's a very unique and powerful performer, and I'm glad she's
But how many aspiring Adeles who are just as good or 99% as good are just languishing or will never get the opportunity, or that would be playing, the local bingo hall for 10 years and then give up.
I am going to, as my radio show gets developed and as it starts to have a real reputation, one of the things is my mission is to have the legendary singers I'm interviewing introduce who they think is the great new person who's up and coming. I want more people to have those opportunities. When I was a kid, there was something called the Ed Sullivan Show, and we watched all kinds of amazing artists get up there and wow us. And in a few shows, you knew who they were. The Beatles. Would they have been as the biggest stars had there not been shows like that? We need to have a show like that again, and I think hopefully my radio show will have a wonderful place for up-and-coming, wonderful, burgeoning artists who need to be heard.
I mean, I think there's room to rediscover Topo Gigio. I really do.
So true.
Well, it has been delightful discovering...
Rabbi Sol Solomon, Rabbi Sol Solomon, I love you.
Oh, well, I'm blushing, let me tell you. And I do have that beard.
Miriam, she's a lucky woman.
Oh, I will. And your wife is a very lucky lady, too. And everybody can be incredibly lucky just by going to the New Jersey Performing Arts Center in Newark, New Jersey, tonight to see Broadway with the Callaway. It's Wicked to West Side Story to Wicked, right?
Yes, that's right.
West Side Story to Wicked, Broadway with the Callaways, with Ann Hampton Callaway, our guest in the neighborhood, and Liz Callaway, her sister. I wish you much, much continued success and health, since you are touring a lot, and you need to be out there. So much.
Thank you, Rabbi, and shalom to you, and many good blessings.
You too. Shalom.
Bye.